Besides the remains of monastic structures, 3 brick built stupas identified as a votive or memorial stupas are also seen enclosed by footpaths to the north of the pavement. Another pair of brick built stupas with a diameter of 6.6 and 5.6 feet respectively were found. At the center of another terrace is a brick built stupa with a diameter of 13 feet, which also has a brick flooring around, only a traces of which have been survived. 2 square brick platforms were found in between the wheel shaped stupa and the apsidal stupa shrine. This belongs to the later phase of the structural activities as it overlaps an earlier circular ring of bricks. Atop the hill to the north of Mahachaitya, there is a stone veneered brick stupa of which the central courses has a lotus petal motifs. The stone paved pradakshina path also yielded the remains of shell inscriptions, also known as a Shankalipi. A cylindrical terracotta casket with a fluted outer design was recovered from here. Apart from a small bone relic, it also had 5 golden flowers. The finding of this relic casket makes this stupa as a Sharik one. The top portion preserves a layer of thick lime plaster which can give us an idea of how it may have looked earlier. Apart from these structures, traces of random rubble revetment walls, terrace retaining walls, pillar holes were also found. The absence of decorated sculptural panels, ayaka platform, typical wheel shaped base and some other features which seem common with the stupas of Andhra Pradesh are not encountered here. This can be explained by reasons like more control of Theravadin school and influence from the Kalinga region. The Buddhist monastic site at Salihundam occupies an important position in the development of Buddhist structural architecture of South India. Various architectural remains such as upsidal Chaitya with Buddha image, circular stupa without ayaka platforms, circular Chaitya provide process of development of Buddhist structural architecture at the site. It seems that various experiments were carried out by the architects on the site, which resulted into the emergence of non-traditional architectural patterns on the site, such as circular stupa without ayak platforms. This also suggests that the architecture activity on the site began very early time period, that is around 2nd 3rd centuries before Common Era. After a brief introduction to various architecture remains on the site, now let us have a virtual journey of few of the icons. The traces of the Mahayana phase seems to be less, whereas later it developed more affinity with the Vajrayana phase, which was also the case in a Kalinga Desh or Odisha. Images of Buddhist tantric deities such as Tara and Marichi have been reported from this site. A 6-handed image of Marichi is made of granite. It stands in a Alida posture, that is one leg bent and the other stretched out, and holds a bow in one of her hands. Marichi has been compared with the deities such as Surya and sometimes Ushas on the basis of iconography, its nature and function. 7 horses. Usually pigs are depicted drawing her chariot, but in this specific case it is the horses drive her chariot, and a female charioteer is shown along with them. She is considered the goddess of dawn and personification of the rising sun, whereas her three faces denote the three phases of the sun: rising, noon and the dusk. A fragmentary inscription, probably a sacred creed formula, can be seen on the image. Other images which were reported by the scholars include that of Bodhisattva Manjushri, Buddha in a Bhumisparsha Mudra, Buddha seated over a lotus, another six-armed Marichi, and the images of goddess Tara holding lotus and inscribed with Buddhist creed formula, and a four-armed goddess Sita Tara. Three relic caskets were also found from the Mahachaitya. Each of them had gold flowers, that is a Swarna Pushpas, within them. An empty stone relic casket was also from the center. The brick stup to the north of Mahachaitya on the top of the hill also yielded a relic casket which has been discussed earlier. 3 silver reliquaries were found from the periphery of this stupa. After having virtual journey of Buddhist site of Salihundam, let us have a virtual journey of another important Buddhist site of coastal Andhra Pradesh, that is Sankaram. The site of Sankaram is located in the Visakhapatnam district. River Sarada used to flow from near these hills known as Bojjanakonda, located to the east, and Lingalakonda, located to the west. Bojjanakonda hill has the remains of the stupa and rock cut caves, a series of rock cut stupas. The layout created by the series of rock cut stupas, caves and the principal stupa structure at the top is really interesting and picturesque. The structures located on the eastern hills. A partially rock cut and partially structural stairway leads to the caves. The cave is double storied. The center of the facade also has the entry to the lower cave. A panel here has rough outlines of an animal and a seated image with joined hands. The doorway is guarded by 2 Dwarapalas. Over the door can be noticed a seated Buddha image. A fragmentary inscription, probably the name of worshipper or a donor, can be seen at the left jamb of the door. The cave has a mandap with 16 massive pillars with a square base, octagonal center and topped by a capital. The central 2 pillars have carved depiction of chauri bearers. A rock cut stup stands at the center upon a square platform. The upper story of this cave has a rectangular gate. In the right niche of this door is a seated Buddha figure. The left niche is too eroded to be recognized. The top of the entrance door has a beautiful and large sized seated Buddha image. This is flanked by standing figures, and flying figures can be seen at both corners of the image. The sculptures have traces of plaster, which tells us that the whole would have been once plastered. The sanctum or shrine is fronted by a vestibule. The left wall of this vestibule has a seated Buddha image with kneeling chauri bearers at the both corners. The opposite wall has a seated Buddha image too. Along with the stupa in a half relief at the right upper corner, inside the shrine there is a Buddha image with attendants on both sides. The side walls are divided into 3 compartments by the pilasters. These compartments have a standing Buddha wearing a crown. In the side panels is a depiction of a kneeling worshipper below a seated figure. The west ridge of this hill has a rock cut stupa. A square base cut out of rock cut forms the platform for the stupa. A low cylindrical adhisthana stands above it, whereas dome was structural and was built in bricks. Traces of pilaster can be seen at the top. Stone and rubble have also been used to encase the places where the center rock was fractured. A rectangular structure has been found below the platform of this stupa to its northeast. The plan of this structure consists of a structural temple with an antechamber and a shrine. At the southern side of the stupa, instead of rock cut stupas, as are found here in a good numbers, we have series of 9 structural stupas built in bricks. Only the bases and adhisthana or drum survive in these brick stupas. 2 stone caskets of crude manufacture were found in 2 of these mud filled brick stupas. Another group of 4 stone cut stupas is there, which may have been open to air earlier, but at a later stage they were enclosed with bricks, thus making it a stupa within a stupa. 2 small rock cut caves are there near the stupa, at the front of one of which is a rough bench. Above this is a figure of bearded sannyasi and one other figure. A wooden structure may have been attached to the entrance, as can be attested by the presence of grooves and sockets. The inner wall has a Buddha images with attendants. The neighboring chamber also has a seated Buddha image flanked by the panel of Dwarapalas. This chamber once had 4 pillars, out of which one has not survived. These pillars are square at the base, octagonal at the center, molded capital and square abacus at the top. The other cave is plain and does not possess any sculptures.